So I'm just going to come out and say it. Here's the deal. NFL most parity out of any professional sports league, and this week made it obvious. Week 9 was the absolute craziest week in the NFL this season, and honestly, it's pushing the boundaries of being the craziest week in the entire NFL history over the last 5 years, because this week was insane. Upsets all over the place. People were struggling with their pick'ems. A lot of dead pools, a lot of survivor pools got ruined this week with a lot of upset losses. Obviously, starting with the Jaguars over the Bills. If you haven't already done that, go check out our Jags-Bills recap. If you're a Jags fan, go check that out. But we do want to look at a few other NFL games. Matt, I want to welcome you back in, and let's just talk about this week. I just want to hear your thoughts. Crazy week in the NFL. What the hell happened?
Dude, I don't know. You put the nail in the coffin right there. This was the craziest week. I'm looking at all my picks from this week. The conference points that I do. Dude, I had my lowest total I think I've ever had. I had 47 points out of a total of 105. That's less than 50%. For example, Dallas didn't get that one. Cincinnati didn't get that one. New Orleans, Las Vegas, Buffalo, and the Rams. Dude,
What was the highest point total that you actually hit on this week?
That I hit on?
Yeah, your highest confidence point that actually hit.
Oh gosh, I'll have to look back at the emails. It was close to 100, I think. I'll have to go back and just look through my my emails from my uncle, because he sends them weekly, but I don't know how many I actually had.
Yeah.
I said I won a couple weeks ago, but I don't actually know. Let's see.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I think what's crazy about this week was it was the first time in NFL history where 4 teams that were 6-point dogs or worse all got the win straight up. Obviously, Jacksonville over Buffalo. You actually had the Titans over the Rams in Los Angeles without Derrick Henry, mind you. We'll get to this game in a little bit. That was a huge upset as well, seeing the Titans go in there and get the W against the Rams. Then you had the Falcons over the Saints, like you mentioned, and then obviously the Broncos over the Cowboys, 10-point dogs there for the Broncos. So all these teams, and if you had a parlay with those teams, you could have put $5 to probably win 10,000, because that's how unreal these upsets were. But let's start this off. Let's ask the easy question, right? Broncos over the Cowboys, Jags over the Bills. If you had to take one team right now between the Bills and the Cowboys to make the playoff or to make the Super Bowl, which team would it be after those two horrendous upset losses?
Oh gosh, I think you still go with the Bills as a better team, just because I'm not too worried about Josh Allen. I think they'll be able to bounce back. But for the Cowboys to get Dak Prescott back and to give up 30 points to the Broncos, let alone you're down 30-0 and scored all 16 points in the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the biggest frauds right now?
We
said the Broncos were the biggest frauds. And now the Cowboys just lost to him, so that make them the biggest frauds?
The Broncos start off the season 3-0, and then they lose 4 straight games. And now, honestly, yeah, fraudulent is the word that I would use here. The Cowboys have to be considered the biggest fraud right now. You get back your number one player, your captain, the leader of your team, and to come out and look that flat is unacceptable. Now, funny enough, I think the Cowboys defense has been overperforming this entire season. So allowing 30 points isn't crazy. It's a lot, especially to the Broncos. But I also think water always finds its level. Shout out to Floppy Tom. Water always finds its level. And the Cowboys defense, I think, exposed themselves this week. That's the true, you're not going to have a Trevon Diggs pick 6 every week of the season. So you look at what the Cowboys did against the Broncos. I feel like that type of defensive performance can become a trend. And if you're doing that type of thing against the Broncos, that's something that if I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm worried about. Not only that, Broncos just traded away Von Miller, one of their the cornerstones of their defense, and then to allow 30 points to a Teddy Bridgewater-led Broncos team with makeshift, 2010 fantasy superstars like Melvin Gordon, come on, this is absurd. Javonte Williams, a rookie running back. You have Cortland Sutton, who hasn't really come into his own just yet, but he's getting there. And then obviously Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick. But the Broncos were the frauds week 4, 5, and 6. Now the Cowboys have to take over as frauds. I agree with you 100%. I think the Bills will be fine. But if you had to go between the Bills and the Rams, where do you stand on that? Because the Rams, they were like 9.5-point favorites at one point, I think, and they end up losing to the Titans without Derrick Henry. You have the Rams or the Bills in your corner. Who are you taking to go to the Super Bowl out of those divisions
The
or out of those
Super
conferences? Excuse me.
I think. I mean, you can still say the Bills because who's the top favorite right now to win the AFC East. So I think right now I would probably go the Rams. Yes, Matt Stafford probably had one of his worst performances of his career, especially at least this season. Back-to-back interceptions leading to 2 touchdowns. But you have the best receiver in the NFL, Cooper Kupp. From at least one of the top candidates right now is an MVP. The defense honestly just had Von Miller. They're still stacked. You can't take one loss and it turn into two. So
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty much what the Bills did.
Yeah.
They took one loss and hopefully don't turn it to two. So I'd still go with the Rams. I still think they're the better team. Uh,
But
yeah,
the Bills might have the easier path just coming out of the AFC East, which I'm glad
yeah.
you brought up because the Patriots 24-6 over the Panthers. I think everyone saw this coming. Panthers, much like the Broncos, they were a fraud for the first half of the season. They started off 3-0 as well, then proceeded to lose 4 straight. They got a win against the Falcons last week, and now a loss to the Patriots. Patriots are sitting there at 5-4. And the Patriots are the team that have knocked the Jaguars out of the playoffs the last 3 times the Jags have been to the playoffs. But as a Jags fan, we helped out the Patriots this week by beating the Bills because right now the Bills are 5-3 and the Patriots are 5-4. And don't look now, Josh Allen, but Mac Jones has this Patriots team rolling and they look like they could be legit. Is this Bill Belichick kind of coming into his own right now with the Patriots? Have they finally found their rhythm with this new put together team coming off the Tom Brady era that lasted way too long for every NFL fan to possibly imagine?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely possible. Mac Jones is looking pretty decent. Patriots now have come off 3 straight. I think the Patriots should also be considerate. And oh god, we froze up again.
Yo, you're good. I got you.
I froze up.
You're frozen? All right.
Yeah, I'm frozen. Oh
Well,
no.
continue because I can hear you.
Oh wait, I might come back. Oh, there we go.
There we
Oh,
are.
we had a scare, folks. We had a scare. But as I was saying, I mean, I think the Patriots should be considered. You got the win, but you came into Carolina facing a dismal quarterback situation right now with Sam Darnold, who has looked awful these past couple of weeks. But again, the Patriots came off a big win earlier against the Chargers. Uh, yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick, he put together a blueprint right now for Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold might be seeing ghosts again.
Yeah.
And so I still think you can ride with the Patriots. It's going to be a tight battle. Have Patriots and the Bills played each other this year at all?
The Patriots and the Bills have not. They will play each other coming up
Ooh.
late in the season. It looks like week 15, no, week 14, and then again in week 17. So 2 weeks apart,
Ooh.
the Bills and the Patriots will be playing each other.
Oh boy. That's good. That's gonna come down to the wire, I think, between those two.
Yeah, so
We'll
it's
see.
going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see. And here's why I believe in what the Patriots have done. Okay, they start the season with a embarrassing loss to the Dolphins, which a lot of people thought the Dolphins were going to be legit after that win, or not legit, but maybe I think that said more about the Patriots after that loss. But then you go on, you beat the Jets, you lose to the Saints, who have now proven that they're obviously kind of in disarray as well. They lost Jameis Winston. You lose 2 points to the Bucks. That came down to the wire. You beat the Texans, and then you lose in overtime to the Cowboys. Okay, so the Cowboys beat you in overtime, and then since that game, they've won 3 in a row. And this looks like a team that has finally found their form. Now, granted, they beat the Jets 54-13. They just, they barely slide by the Chargers 27-24. And then they get past the Panthers 24-6. So this really does seem like a team that mid-season they have finally found their stride. And I'm not surprised. Sometimes with a rookie quarterback, it does take a little bit of time to get your act together. And that's exactly how it seems. I mean, coming up, they have the Browns, then they have the Falcons, and then another big test against the Titans. So it's not like it gets much easier. However, they do get the Browns and the Titans at home, which has to be nice for them. But looking at their schedule, I mean, they have a tough road ahead. It looks like this team had some of their easier games earlier in the season. But I could see the Patriots kind of maybe winning 4 or 5 more games before it's said and done. You have the Falcons. The Colts won't be the easiest. The Jaguars proven they can beat someone, and then I expect the Patriots to beat the Dolphins at the end of the season. So I'm kind of in on the Patriots right now, at least in this AFC East divisional race. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. What do we got from you from Week 9, Matt? What do you have?
Oh man, if we just keep looking down, what's going on with Vegas right now? They're tough. Another tough week for them with the whole thing with Henry Ruggs. They just lost. I think now David Arnett, who was their 2020 first round. They just lost both their first round picks to just stupid stuff.
Yeah, it's inexcusable, and quite frankly, obviously when this happens to an athlete, a superstar, a person that people look up to, um, you know, these are people, but this is unexcusable. Like, we've seen athletes get caught with drugs. We've seen athletes, have off field issues here and there with little things, but this is not one of those deals. And I think sometimes we lose the fact that this was a human on human crime and that there's another family involved in this, and it's heartbreaking what happened, considering these guys have 52 other men on the active roster that they could call. They have coaches they can call. They have Ubers, private drivers. Like these guys, Henry Ruggs going 157 miles an hour, killing a woman off the Raiders, probably facing the rest of his life in prison, DUI manslaughter. Like, come on, this is inexcusable. And not only that, I couldn't care less about how the Raiders perform from here on out, because that's obviously a team that has zero positive culture, and it starts at the top with Mark Davis, trickled down to the John Gruden hire. Now you have the Henry Ruggs issue, and you have Damon Arnett. And who I feel bad for the most is Derek Carr, because Derek Carr, he seems like a great guy. He seems like an extremely religious guy, which doesn't automatically qualify you as a great guy, obviously. But he seems like a guy that has his head on straight, and it feels like he is currently caught in a situation that everything around him is burning down, and he's just trying to go out and perform the best he can. I don't know what's going on with them, but that loss to the Giants this week does not soften the blow at all for the Raiders.
No, it does. You said it again. With Derek Carr, I think he can only do so much to what he can provide for at least both of the guys. He can be there for support, but at the same time, he can't change the outcome of what happened. Uh, you know, Now you just got to focus on just winning games. And I was kind of hoping they were able to get past that against the Giants. But again, give credit to the Giants, not having Saquon Barkley, not having Stone Shepard, and Danny Dimes putting up a decent performance. And the Giants just seem to be pulling their string together right now with the weapons they have currently. And it's a tough break for the Raiders right now. I hope they can bounce back from this, and we'll see what goes on for the rest of the season.
And yeah, we just talked about Ruggs and obviously Damon Arnett as well, but let's get into this OBJ talk, because this is obviously taking the NFL world by storm. Simple question: is Cleveland just better off without OBJ?
They certainly look like it. They
Yeah.
definitely did put up 41 points. Um, I personally believe so. I think I don't know what's up with OBJ, whether if he can't say something, if it's just a distraction to what he says something, or he just can't say something. But I mean, they've gone this far without him so far throughout the two seasons. Uh, I think they can flat out play better without him so far, and it's hard to see OBJ have to go through this. Hopefully, we wish him the best of luck to whichever team he signs with, maybe today or tomorrow or at some point this week. But no, I think they're definitely a much better team. They don't have to worry about him in the locker room and all that. And but yeah, I
Yeah,
think they are.
this is a classic addition by subtraction type thing where you lose a superstar, you have a diva, you have a superstar who was great 6 years ago, 5 years ago. He's had the injury bug. He makes a one-handed catch, takes the world by storm on the cover of Madden, and he goes to a team that had Super Bowl aspirations, divisional aspirations. They finally made the playoffs after so many years. It was crazy, great story. But at the end of the day, like he's overstayed his welcome in Cleveland. And sometimes when you have too many mouths to feed, there's not enough food in the kitchen. And I think that's what's happening in Cleveland. They have Kareem Hunt, they have Nick Chubb, and now they have Dearness Johnson, who's obviously playing well in Cleveland. Austin Hooper showing up. They still have Jarvis Landry and Donovan Peoples-Jones. And then you obviously have Baker Mayfield. And my biggest thing is when you have a guy like OBJ on the team with a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, who Baker Mayfield thrives off leadership. He is the type of guy who gets better as people start to believe in him and start to trust him. And OBJ was stealing so much of that spotlight, so much of that leadership from Baker. I felt like Baker's performance was kind of dwindling because of OBJ's antics. So to see Baker now finally be free of OBJ, everyone keeps saying OBJ is freed, OBJ is freed. Well, yeah, think about how the Browns feel. They just go out and put up a 41 spot on the Bengals, who were number one in the AFC 2 weeks ago, obviously before losing to the Jets. But you got to be happy as a Browns fan. You finally got rid of OBJ, a guy who maybe has been there for a little bit too long. I think Cleveland's better off. We saw this last year when OBJ got injured. Cleveland went on their run. OBJ's gone. Now Cleveland has the Patriots coming up. Two teams trending in the same exact direction. That's going to be a fun one on Sunday.
Absolutely. Just look at these stats right now from the game. I look at the receiving total, and the biggest guy that stands out, only Jarvis Landry had 3 catches, but other than that, Donovan Peoples-Jones, you mentioned his name. He had 2 catches for 86 yards and a tutter. Do you see him now as a guy that's going to step up and take over OBJ at what should have been his role?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think a lot of times these rookie wide receivers, some of the newer guys in the league, maybe third, fourth round picks, they're not given the same shot as the first round guys, second round guys, or the guys that have made their name in the league. And I think sometimes you can find those diamonds in the rough when a superstar like OBJ departs. And Jaguars saw it with James Robinson. When Leonard Fournette left, that gave James Robinson the opportunity to step up and be something great. And that's exactly what the Jaguars have found in James Robinson. So Donovan Peoples-Jones, he was obviously a great player at Michigan, and he just hasn't had the opportunity. And it goes back to having way too many mouths to feed. When you have two capable running backs, a bunch of receivers, you need to find playing time. And I think he's finally going to have that playing time. And he might be the kind of guy that the Browns need to step up to take them into the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree. I saw him early in the season. I think it was against Arizona. He had a couple of catches. So he's definitely proven to the league right now that he's here to play, especially to Cleveland. So I hope for the best of him and see what he does moving forward.